The pilot's grip on the phone was tight as she spoke sharply, clearly irritated. "There's a young black kid causing a ruckus in the pilot's lounge. Get over here right now." She turned on her heel to face the youngster, barking, "Clear! Out immediately. This area isn't meant for you." Captain Linda Davis fixed her intense gaze on Malik Thomas, the 16-year-old who fidgeted with his visitor's identification card. "I'm just here waiting for my guide," he explained. "They told me I could stay." Davis cut him off brusquely, immediately transmitting a message over her radio. "Security, report to the pilot's lounge at once. We've got an unauthorized guest." Malik froze, terror flooding his heart. He had merely been watching television and waiting when this unfolded. Was it even a violation to be there? The young black student, whose eyes shone with determination and intelligence, gave a small, resigned smile as he glanced at the special badge pinned to his chest. He had earned that badge after outdoing countless candidates with an essay filled with genuine passion for flying. Since childhood, Malik could identify aircraft simply by their engine sounds, sketched detailed control layouts of modern jets, and spent countless hours by his window, mesmerized by planes soaring overhead. Now standing in a room meant exclusively for real pilots, his heart pounded with both excitement and anxiety. Leaning back in his chair, Malik's focus remained on the television set playing a documentary on commercial aviation history, completely unaware of the commotion around him. Suddenly, the door banged open, yanking him out of his daydream. In the doorway stood a woman in a crisp pilot's uniform, her shoulders decorated with 4 gleaming gold stripes that signaled authority and long experience. This was Captain Linda Davis, a veteran who had flown for many years with the airline. Malik quickly noticed the mixture of surprise and suspicion in her eyes as she entered. Without missing a beat, Captain Davis strode toward him, each step as cold and sharp as a blade. "Who in the world let you in? What are you doing in the pilot's lounge?" she demanded. Malik quickly stood up, his heart hammering, and tried to keep his cool. "Hello, ma'am. My name is Malik Thomas, and I'm part of a career exploration program with our airline. I was told to wait for my guide." Davis's lips curled into a sneer, her eyes filled with disdain. "A career exploration, huh? This is no playground, especially not for someone like you. Get out now." Her words struck him like a slap, leaving him stunned. He hesitated, pointing weakly at his badge. "But ma'am, I have an ID, and Miss Carmen Lopez from Human Resources said I could be here." Before Malik could continue, Captain Davis snatched the badge from around his neck. The strap snapped. With a loud noise, she flipped it over, scanned it briefly, and then angrily declared, "A counterfeit badge. I knew it. Kids like you don't belong in this restricted area. This is a major security breach." Shock and terror drained the color from Malik's face as he stood speechless. He barely had time to process his emotions when Davis grabbed her radio again, her tone icy. "I need security right away at the pilot's lounge. We have an intruder, and the ID is obviously fake. This is extremely serious." Malik's whole body trembled, his heart tightening in his chest. Outside the lounge, curious onlookers began to converge, their stares sharp and unkind. What should have been the happiest day of Malik's life was suddenly turning into a nightmare because of skin color and someone's deep-seated prejudice. His dream, for which he had worked tirelessly, now hung by a thread and could be destroyed. In an instant, rooted in place, with red-rimmed eyes held back by sheer will, he knew the ordeal was just beginning. The static crackle of the radio from Captain Davis cut through the silence of the break room and immediately drew in more airport staff. With every pair of eyes fixed on him as if judging him like a guilty party, Malik mustered his courage, stepping forward with a trembling voice. "Ma'am, I didn't use a fake ID. Miss Carmen Lopez from HR brought me here personally. I've been waiting here for nearly 20 minutes. I haven't broken any rules." But Captain Davis refused to listen. Her eyes were as cold as ice. utterly unmoved by his obvious panic, clutching the badge in her hand as if it were the final piece of incriminating evidence. She turned to address the assembled staff and pilots, raising her voice so everyone could hear. "Everyone, listen up. We are trained to spot security threats, and this is textbook behavior. A kid with a fake ID sneaking into an area meant strictly for pilots, possibly to steal sensitive information or sabotage our operations." A murmur rippled through the crowd. Some exchanged suspicious glances while others showed clear contempt. Malik, overwhelmed by isolation, felt his heart pound with anger and helplessness at the injustice thrust upon him. Scanning the room desperately, he hoped to see Miss Carmen Lopez or someone who could confirm his story, but no one stepped forward. Moments later, the sound of rapid footsteps came from the hall. Two security officers, expressions serious and determined, approached directly as ordered by Captain Davis. Pointing at Malik with unwavering resolve, she said, "That's him. I want both of you to remove him immediately and conduct a full search. This is a deliberate breach of security." One officer, a middle-aged man with a stern look, scanned Malik from top to bottom and then said in a firm but respectful tone, "Young man, please come with us. We need to verify your identity and sort this out." Alarmed, Malik stepped back, his voice cracking with fear as he pleaded, "I was really allowed here. I'm part of a career program with the airline. Please call Miss Carmen Lopez. I'm telling the truth." But before he could say any more, Captain Davis cut him off harshly. "I don't want to waste any more time. You've broken into a restricted area with a fake ID and are making unsupported excuses. This is about flight safety and cannot be taken lightly." Her words fell like a sentence, and Malik was plunged into panic. The world around him spun, beads of sweat forming as the nightmare's full impact settled in. Despite the clear injustice, Malik could do nothing to change what was happening. As the security officers advanced, he shakily took out his phone. His voice, fragile and breaking, reached out. "Please, may I call my dad? He can explain everything." Captain Davis sneered, folding her arms and speaking in a tone laced with mockery. "Go ahead and call him, although I doubt your father can help in this mess. I'll make sure that your parents, who are probably just janitors here, are fired for letting you cause trouble." Her words left the room in stunned silence. Malik's eyes filled with tears, and his hands trembled as he dialed his father's number. With every long ring, time seemed to drag, deepening the tension and despair. All he could do was hope his father would come and save him from this ruthless injustice. The ringing went on endlessly, tightening the knot of anxiety in Malik's chest as he stared at his phone, waiting for his father's familiar voice. At that moment, as reality darkened, a cascade of comforting memories flooded back. Memories of his first airplane ride on his 6th birthday when his father, Samuel Thomas, had just started working at the Federal Aviation Administration. For that birthday, his father had arranged an exclusive tour at Dulles International Airport near Washington, D.C. Malik remembered standing as a small boy under the wing of a gigantic Boeing 777, watching it lift off like a majestic ironbird. That day had filled him with mixed emotions of awe and an undying desire to conquer the skies. Since then, Malik had bombarded his father with questions about flying. He marveled at how enormous planes soared smoothly through the air, how aerodynamics worked, and how pilots navigated safely through challenging weather. Even with his father's demanding job, ensuring nationwide flight safety, Samuel Thomas always found time to sit with Malik and explain every detail in simple terms. In each conversation, his father assured him that if he was brave and persistent, he could become an excellent pilot. Over the following months, Malik transformed his bedroom into a mini hangar, filling it with airplane models ranging from vintage flyers to cutting-edge machines like the Boeing 787 Dreamliner. and the Airbus A350. His room's walls soon became a collage of airplane posters, engine diagrams, and historical tidbits about aviation. His father even joked that his room resembled a small aviation museum. Through relentless training and the use of flight simulators, Malik turned his dream of becoming a pilot into a reality. He practiced maneuvers patiently, learning how to take off, land, and even handle emergency scenarios in virtual flights. Although his mother sometimes had to remind him to go to bed early because he stayed up late practicing, Samuel Thomas silently encouraged him, knowing every extra moment brought Malik closer to his dream. Yet the journey was not without obstacles. Malik often heard discouraging remarks from those who doubted that a young black boy could ever become a pilot. In those moments, his father would appear right on time, placing a steady hand on his shoulder and looking into his eyes with unwavering determination. "Malik, people may doubt you, but you must never doubt yourself. You belong in the sky, and the sky is always open to you." Those words would help him overcome his toughest moments. When the opportunity for a prestigious career program at the airline arose, Malik knew he couldn't let it pass him by. He spent weeks perfecting his application essay, pouring out his passion for flight, recounting his cherished memories with his father, and expressing his burning desire to become a pilot. On the day the results arrived, his nerves were so overwhelming that he couldn't even open the letter by himself. It was his father who gently helped him open it, and when Samuel Thomas smiled and told him he had beaten hundreds of applicants, Malik couldn't hold back his tears. It wasn't just a win, it was proof that his dreams were achievable through hard work and determination. Malik embraced his father with tears streaming down, silently thanking him for always believing in his potential. However, he never imagined that what should have been the most memorable day, the first day of the career program, would turn into a living nightmare. Captain Davis's suspicion and bias sliced away at Malik's dream, piece by piece, declaring, with every word, that his dream was inherently limited by his skin color and background. Clutching his phone tightly as if to hold onto his sanity, Malik recalled his father's advice and silently promised himself to remain strong, determined to protect the dream he had worked so hard for. He realized the true battle for his future had just begun, and no matter how dark things got, he believed his dad would come for him in time. The comforting memories of flight and his father's love were abruptly shattered by the heavy footsteps of the security team. Two officers in grey uniforms entered quickly, their faces set in stern seriousness as if they were handling a dangerous criminal. Malik instinctively stepped back, feeling unjustly accused of a terrible wrong he couldn't comprehend. One officer, tall with a no-nonsense expression, scanned him before saying, "Young man, explain yourself immediately. How did you get into this lounge?" Malik swallowed hard, struggling to steady his quickening breaths. His eyes, wide with terror, pleaded as he slowly said, "I'm Malik Thomas, and I'm part of the airline's career program. Miss Tanya Lopez from HR brought me here, but she stepped out to take care of something urgent." The officer listened closely, then turned to Captain Davis for confirmation. Instead of calmly rethinking the situation, she dismissed him with a mocking shrug and said, "I've been with this airline for nearly 20 years, and I've never seen a student sneak in without supervision. His ID clearly looks fake. Just take a closer look." Her words undermined everyone's trust and shifted the mood among the security staff. The tall officer stepped closer, his eyes filled with doubt as he demanded, "Hand over your ID and explain where you got this badge. Who gave it to you?" Malik fumbled with his jacket pocket, retrieving his small wallet containing his student ID. He tried once more to explain earnestly, "I'm not lying. Miss Carmen Lopez gave me this badge this morning with my name and picture on it. You can call her if you need to check. I truly meant no harm." But his sincere words were drowned out by whispers of uncertainty from nearby employees and pilots who exchanged skeptical looks. as if they could tell by sight whether he was telling the truth. Malik realized painfully that he was on his own in this fight against bias. Captain Davis, using every advantage she could, spoke again with a grave expression that stressed an imagined threat. "Look here. This is exactly how people with bad intentions get into secure areas. We can't afford any carelessness, especially when flight safety is on the line. Who's to say he doesn't have even more dangerous plans?" Her unfounded claims deepened the doubt among everyone present. Some pilots shook their heads in disbelief, others discreetly recorded the moment, their glances a mix of suspicion and disdain. Malik's heart sank as the weight of the accusation pressed on him, and he clenched his fists to hold back the tears. Before long, the tall officer pushed Malik against a wall, his voice cold and steady as he declared, "We must take you aside for a full check. If you don't cooperate, we'll consider your actions as resistance to law enforcement." Malik felt the full force of their threat, realizing that in an instant his lifelong dream could crumble because of one prejudiced misjudgment. Tears threatened to spill as he looked down at his phone, praying for his father's arrival. But his phone remained silent, and in that heart-wrenching instant, Malik realized he was completely alone, trapped in an inescapable web of doubt. Desperation was everywhere as Malik scanned the break room for even the slightest sign of support, but all he saw were cold, distrustful eyes and apathetic stares from bystanders. He felt as if every bit of hope he had built was slipping away in mere moments. With his back pressed to the wall and his hands tightly clenched in a vain attempt to retain dignity, Malik endured as the security officer's harsh voices echoed around him. Meanwhile, Captain Davis stood a few steps away with her arms crossed and a self-satisfied smile on her face. She looked at him with delight, her voice loud enough for everyone to hear. "This is exactly why I always say we can't be lax about security. He may seem harmless, but who knows what's going on in his head? A single careless moment can have dire consequences." Her words cut deep, turning Malik from a hopeful student into what everyone now saw as a potential threat. With a hoarse, desperate voice, Malik pleaded, "Please, may I call my dad? I promise I did nothing wrong. He can explain this." The security officer stared at him for an agonizing moment before reluctantly nodding. Malik's hands trembled as he fumbled with his phone, each ring intensifying his terror as he awaited his father's call. Meanwhile, Captain Davis continued her tirade, her overcautious tone designed to plant seeds of doubt. "We are trained for these situations," she declared. "People with hidden motives always try to use a logical story to mask their true intent. I've seen situations like this over the past 20 years, and the way he's acting is certainly suspicious." As whispers filled the room and every eye turned to Malik with increasing suspicion, it wasn't long before he was no longer seen as an innocent youth, but as a potential threat, a person to be feared. Malik knew all too well that even a brief moment of being labeled a security risk could close the door on his dream of becoming a pilot. Reputation, scholarships, and career prospects might vanish because of a single moment of cruel prejudice. Finally, the phone stopped ringing, and Malik heard his father's familiar voice booming, "Malik, what's going on?" Yet the sound only amplified his panic, and with emotion overwhelming him, he cried out, "Dad, I'm at the airport. They're saying I trespassed in the pilot's lounge, and no one believes me. I don't know what to do." A heavy silence followed on the other end, and Malik's heart sank as if time had halted. After a pause, his father, Samuel Thomas, replied calmly and firmly, "Malik, stay calm. I'm coming right over. Don't leave your spot. I'll handle this personally." Those few reassuring words broke through Malik's terror, and he burst into tears of relief and fear. Captain Davis sneered as she remarked aloud, "So you had to call your parents after all. You really should know your place." Her insult stung, But Malik could only stand silent, clinging to hope that his father's arrival would rescue him from the nightmare unfolding around him. Despite the cruelty in her words, the murmurs of disdain from the onlookers grew louder, and every judgmental glance felt like a physical blow. Captain Davis exploited his vulnerability further, stepping to the center of the room with an air of authority, as if presiding over a mock trial. Her eyes swept coldly over everyone before zeroing in on Malik, and she shouted, "Everyone, understand the gravity of this situation. This isn't a trivial misunderstanding. Not only did he trespass in a secure area, but he might be an industrial spy, someone trying to steal our company's secrets." A stunned silence fell over the room as Malik's heart pounded with disbelief. The idea of him being labeled an industrial spy simply for being in the lounge was preposterous. Still, murmurs continued to spread, each new whisper intensifying the feeling that his dignity was being shredded. Captain Davis continued in a tone full of sarcasm and malice. He even called his parents. I wouldn't be surprised if they were just cleaning staff using their child to sneak in. Who knows what hidden agenda they have? Mocking looks and snickers soon spread among the gathered employees and pilots. Malik's entire body felt as if it were crumbling from the weight of anger and humiliation as he clenched his fists, his nails digging into his palms in a desperate bid to stop his tears. All his life, he had taken pride in his father, Samuel Thomas, a man of honor who had dedicated his life to keeping aviation safe. He had witnessed his father work late into the night during emergencies and admired his unwavering resolve. Now, seeing his dad being disrespected by Captain Davis nearly broke him, yet he managed to stand with a look of determined hurt, knowing that any sign of weakness could be used against him. Captain Davis noticed his resolute gaze and, far from backing off, redoubled her efforts to belittle him. "Just imagine," she sneered, "if we hadn't caught this kid today, the safety of countless passengers could have been compromised by even the tiniest lapse." Her words met with nods of agreement from some, while others recorded the exchange. On their phones, Malik's heart ached as he swallowed hard and said with a trembling yet firm voice, "Ma'am, I'm not a spy, and my parents aren't janitors. Please don't demean them." Yet, his protest seemed only to embolden Captain Davis. "I'm not insulting anyone," she replied coolly, "just pointing out a realistic possibility, accepting the truth is hard, isn't it?" Barely able to stand on unsteady legs from anger and humiliation, Malik resolved to hold his dignity firmly for himself and for his father, who had always taught him that one's worth is determined by how one faces adversity. With nothing more to do than stand in silent defiance, he waited for his father's rescue, convinced that Samuel would not let this injustice continue. Every whispered insult from Captain Davis cut deeper, and every suspicious look felt like a vice around his heart. His hand gripped his phone as if it were his only lifeline, and with a deep, steadying breath, he tried once more to call his dad, each beep fueling the rising fear within him. At long last, his father answered. "Hello, Malik. It's Dad. Are you all right?" Samuel Thomas's warm yet authoritative voice broke through Malik's panic, and he cried, "Dad, they're calling me a spy and saying I trespassed. No one believes me. I'm really innocent. Can you come here right away?" There was a brief pause, heavy with silence, before his father's voice returned, firm and resolute. "Malik, don't panic. I'm on my way. Stay where you are. I'll fix this myself." Those words sparked a flood of tears from Malik, a mix of relief and terror, as Captain Davis mockingly observed, "So you had to dial for help. You should have known your place." Though the insult stung deeply, Malik remained silent, waiting anxiously for his father's arrival, his dreams now teetering on the edge of collapse, saved only by his dad's intervention. Even as Malik's hopes wavered, Captain Davis continued to pile on the insults, Her bitter voice echoed, "Calling your parents only proves how dependent you are. I bet your father is rushing from the back office now, too weak to help you properly. But we must resolve this swiftly. Security can't wait for childish theatrics." A few staff members exchanged mocking looks while Malik's throat tightened with pent-up anger and despair. Refusing to show any weakness, he held his gaze steady as she ordered the security officers, "If his parents don't come immediately, take him away right now. We've wasted too much time already." The two officers looked uncertain for a moment, but then moved closer, ready to follow her command. Malik's whole body tensed under their looming presence. Suddenly, one of the officers' phones rang. He answered briefly, his face displaying clear surprise and hesitation. After a short, whispered conversation with his colleague, both officers paused. Captain Davis frowned. "What's going on? Are you having second thoughts?" The officer replied softly, loud enough for everyone to hear, "We've been informed a senior official from the Federal Aviation Administration is on the way. We must wait a bit longer." For a moment, Captain Davis was taken aback, but soon recovered her confidence. "An FAA official? How curious. I wonder which person from the FAA would bother with a kid like this." A mocking tone rang in Malik's ears, but now he felt a surge of inner strength. His father, Samuel Thomas, a respected and influential figure, was on his way, bringing a beacon of hope. The atmosphere in the lounge grew tense, almost as if a time bomb were about to detonate. The security staff remained on edge, unwilling to act as long as Captain Davis's icy stare held them in its grip. Then the door swung open with purposeful steps, echoing on the shiny floor. Malik lifted his head, his heart about to burst with emotion when he recognized the approaching figure. His father, Samuel Thomas, the administrator of the Federal Aviation Administration. Accompanying him were several high-ranking FAA officials, in sharp suits, their expressions solemn and commanding. Their unexpected arrival silenced the room, leaving everyone, including Captain Davis, in a state of shocked silence. Davis's confident facade quickly crumbled when she saw the powerful man coming straight for Malik, someone she had dismissed as insignificant. Her face transformed from self-assured to deeply worried and stunned. Samuel Thomas strode swiftly toward Malik, his face a blend of concern and love. Placing a reassuring hand on the trembling boy's shoulder, his voice was both assertive and gentle. "Malik, are you all right? I'm here now. Don't worry anymore." Those few words brought an immediate sense of safety to Malik, who nodded amidst tears streaming down his face, knowing he was no longer alone. Then, turning sharply, Samuel fixed his cold, steely eyes on Captain Davis and announced, "I am Samuel Thomas, Administrator of the Federal Aviation Administration. I've been fully informed about what's happening with my son, Malik Thomas, and I am appalled to hear these false accusations at our airport." Captain Davis's face drained of color as she stuttered, "Mr. Thomas, I had no idea he was your son. We were simply enforcing safety protocols." Samuel cut her off firmly. "That does not give you the right to misuse your authority, make unfounded claims, and humiliate a child out of prejudice. What you have done not only tarnishes my son's dignity, but also exposes a wider issue regarding your treatment of the public and your colleagues." His words swept through the room like a strong wind, dismantling the false front Davis had built. The onlookers now looked at her with clear disappointment and disapproval. Standing next to his father, Malik's heart began to steady as he felt a deep gratitude. Samuel Thomas's presence had not only restored Malik's dignity, but had shifted the entire power dynamic, turning the nightmare into a turning point. For justice, the tense atmosphere in the pilot's lounge froze as Samuel's arrival, along with his team, completely transformed the situation. However, Captain Davis, still clinging to her misplaced arrogance, persisted with her accusations. I take responsibility for my actions. Flight safety is serious, and we can't ignore suspicious behavior like this. This boy..." Her voice faltered when her eyes met Samuel's steely gaze, which seemed to cut right through her. In that moment, it was clear that Captain Davis was losing control. Her face shifted from pride to shock, then paled with fear as she realized who was before her. The pride she once exuded vanished instantly, leaving her trembling under a harsh new reality. An oppressive silence fell over the room as airport staff, pilots, and security personnel stared between Samuel Thomas and Captain Davis, witnessing one of the most dramatic reversals they had ever seen. No one spoke. Everyone understood that the balance of power had shifted completely. Finally, with a low but powerful voice, Samuel demanded, "Captain Davis, explain why you believe my son poses a threat to airport security and on what grounds you deemed his access card fake." Davis swallowed hard, trying to muster a reasonable reply, but every ounce of the confidence she once had was gone. "Mr. Thomas, I sincerely meant no harm. I was just doing my duty, following protocols to ensure this restricted area was secure. Malik was alone with a badge that I found suspicious," she managed weakly. Samuel stepped closer, his gaze unwavering and stern. "Did you verify his identity properly, or did you just jump to conclusions out of personal bias? I reviewed everything immediately, and his ID was completely valid with all required clearance. I am deeply disappointed that you turned my son into a suspect in front of everyone." Davis stammered, "I really didn't know he was your son. Had I known, I wouldn't have acted this way." Her careless words, made in haste, sent shockwaves through the room as everyone, including Malik and the FAA agents, fully grasped the implications of her bias. She immediately regretted her outburst, yet it could not be undone. Samuel fixed her with a piercing look and said, "If you had known he was my son, you would have acted differently." His voice was as strong as steel, shattering any weak defense she could offer. Turning to the security team, he added, "Your role is to protect safety, not to act on biased orders. Keeping an innocent boy detained as if he were a threat is completely unacceptable. I demand that you immediately cancel this action and treat Malik with the respect he deserves." The officers, clearly embarrassed for following orders without proper verification, bowed their heads, and one stepped forward to say softly, "We are truly sorry for this mistake. Please forgive us." Malik stood quietly by his father, his heart slowly filling with relief and complex emotions. He didn't utter a word, merely nodding in a way that showed he understood the forgiveness and strength his father had always encouraged. At that moment, Captain Davis looked completely defeated, her presence, once so commanding, now reduced to a figure of humiliation and regret. It was clear her reputation, built over more than 20 years, had crumbled in minutes, and Malik understood the true value of standing up for what is right. With his father beside him, he promised himself he would never let anyone strip him of his dignity again. Samuel Thomas then addressed everyone, his voice low and authoritative. "I want every single person to know that discrimination and bias have no place here or anywhere else. Our duty is to guarantee safety and fairness for all. I will not tolerate any more incidents like this." He then turned to the FAA staff and airline management, issuing clear orders. "I expect a thorough investigation into Captain Davis's actions today. We will review every detail of security procedures and training protocols to ensure nothing like this ever happens again." The officials and representatives nodded solemnly, quickly moving to implement his directives. Malik looked at his father, his heart swelling with pride, not just because of his father's firmness, but also his compassion and unwavering commitment to justice. Samuel Thomas placed a warm hand on Malik's shoulder and said, "I am very proud of you, Malik. You stood strong today, and your dignity shone through despite everything. This will be a lesson that makes you even stronger in future challenges." Malik nodded, overwhelmed with gratitude and deep emotion, knowing that, from now on, his story would not be defined by a false accusation, but by the victory of integrity over bias. As the FAA official concluded his report by showing the recorded footage, a video clearly displaying Malik entering the lounge with Miss Tanya Lopez from HR handing him an access card and indicating his seat, the room buzzed with disbelief. The video confirmed that Malik had followed all protocols, only being forced to stand up when Captain Davis had rudely interrupted him. The evidence was clear, and murmurs of disapproval filled the air as all eyes turned to Captain Davis, her face reddening with shame and regret. The FAA official continued solemnly, "We have also reviewed Captain Davis's record with both the FAA and our airline's internal systems. The findings are deeply troubling. This isn't the first time complaints have been lodged about her behavior toward employees or customers of color." His words struck everyone, and the room filled with murmurs as doubts and disappointment grew. Malik stood silently next to his father, relieved that the truth had finally emerged, while sadness lingered over the cruelty of bias. Unable to bear the pressure any longer, Captain Davis weakly tried to offer an apology. "I'm really sorry. I never meant to hurt anyone. I was just overly concerned with safety. Please give me another chance." Samuel Thomas cut her off sharply. "Captain Davis, mistakes deserve forgiveness only when people truly learn from them. What you have shown is a deep ethical failing, and this kind of behavior has no place in aviation." He paused, his voice firm as he continued, "I want everyone here to understand, prejudice and discrimination will never be tolerated in our industry. Our mission is to safeguard fairness and respect for everyone." As the FAA official then detailed the next steps, requesting an immediate and comprehensive inquiry into every aspect of the incident, Captain Davis slumped, her face pale with defeat. Malik, still standing next to his father, felt a profound relief mixed with sorrow. He knew this was not just about him, but about setting an example that every dream should be protected, regardless of one's background. Slowly, the heavy footsteps of Captain Davis receded as she was led away by security officers. The room grew quieter, every eye on Samuel Thomas, the imposing figure who stood like a fortress in the center. His unwavering gaze reminded everyone that true power lies in integrity and fairness, not in misused authority. His final instruction was clear and resolute. "I am immediately suspending Captain Davis from duty. I also expect the FAA and our airline to work together to ensure that this investigation is conducted fairly and transparently, with a full review of our security and training practices." The FAA officials and airline management nodded, swiftly beginning to carry out his orders. Malik, looking up at his father, felt his heart soar with pride. Samuel Thomas's softening gaze and gentle squeeze of his son's hand conveyed a deep warmth. "Remember, Malik, your strength is measured by how you face challenges, not by the opinions of others. I'm proud of you today, and I know you will only get stronger." Malik's eyes shone as he realized that his story was now one of triumph over injustice and prejudice. Among the pilots gathered, a new figure stepped forward, a friendly, experienced pilot named Captain Keisha Coleman, known for her kindness and strong stance on equality in aviation. With an encouraging smile, she approached Malik and said, "I'm Captain Keisha Coleman. I'm really sorry about what you've been through today. The aviation world is open to determined, talented young people like you, and I'd be honored to show you the cockpit of the plane I'm about to fly. I believe you truly belong up there." Malik's eyes brightened with excitement as he glanced at his father, who nodded approvingly. In that moment, his resolve strengthened, and he set aside his earlier fears. Walking out of the lounge with Captain Coleman, Malik sensed a change in how others viewed him, no longer as a suspect, but as someone worthy of support and respect. Along the corridor of the airport, Malik and Captain Coleman talked about her journey into aviation, including the obstacles she faced, especially the bias that almost forced her to give up. "I've been through similar hardships," she confided, "and I learned that the best way to beat prejudice is not with anger, but by showing that we deserve our place and can excel beyond anyone's expectations." Her words resonated deeply with Malik, who felt immense gratitude for her support at such a crucial juncture. Finally, they stopped before the door of the cockpit of a Boeing 787. The door opened to reveal panels, buttons, and screens glowing with activity. Malik's heart raced with both excitement and deep emotion. With a gentle, reassuring hand on his shoulder, Captain Coleman said in a warm, firm voice, "This is where I believe you will work one day, Malik. Don't ever let anyone make you question your skills or your right to be here. The sky is wide enough for those who dare to reach for it." Looking into her eyes, Malik felt a surge of hope and acceptance. He knew his future was full of promise, a future where fear and doubt were replaced by confidence and determination. As he stepped into that cockpit, he realized his life was turning a new page, a page filled with honor, possibility, and the joy of flying, all born from his persistence and courage. Meanwhile, Samuel Thomas recognized that the events of the day revealed that prejudice and racism still lingered as hidden threats in both aviation and society. Determined to act, he launched a nationwide effort to diversify the workforce in aviation, focusing on eliminating all forms of racial, gender, and class bias. In just a few short weeks, the FAA introduced new programs aimed at youth from all backgrounds, programs designed to offer fair, transparent opportunities, cutting-edge training, and a strong message of equal rights, diversity, and solidarity. The message was clear: every person deserves to soar as high as their dreams can carry them. For Malik, who had suffered from injustice, this experience became a turning point. He soon found himself invited to speak at schools, workshops, and community events about his journey. From the bitterness of discrimination to the sweet taste of justice, all made possible by his father's timely intervention. Malik's story inspired others to overcome their limitations and fear ending. His talks were a powerful reminder: never forget that every career needs diversity. Every dream deserves a chance. His story spread hope and inspired many young people to challenge prejudice and pursue their dreams confidently. After a thorough investigation by the FAA, Captain Davis had to face serious consequences for her wrongful actions. Although it was painful, it sent a resounding message: no one is allowed to use their power to harm others because of personal bias. Her removal from duty became a stark reminder that no one stands above the law or professional ethics. Thanks to the swift and decisive measures by Samuel Thomas, this incident sparked change throughout the aviation industry. Airports and airlines all across the nation began reviewing their security and training protocols with unprecedented rigor, ensuring fairness and respect became the norm. For Malik, every step forward was now not just about his own future, but about spreading values of fairness and respect across society. His emotional journey had shown the devastating effects of prejudice, yet also demonstrated the extraordinary strength of justice when it is served. No one should have to give up their dreams because of their skin color, background, or social status. In the end, Malik's tale became a powerful reminder: every dream must be safeguarded, and no one should suffer for being different. Have you ever experienced discrimination? Share your thoughts so we can all work together to promote equality and fairness. If this story inspired you, please like, share, and subscribe for more uplifting stories. Thank you for listening, and I look forward to our next encounter.